All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome. It's noon. It's early, but I'm getting used to it. I'm getting better. It's Oblivion Oath Thursday. I just made that up right now. Hashtag Oblivion Oath Thursday. Don't do that. Oblivion Oath is fine. But welcome to the show. This is our regular noon slot that we're going to be doing Oblivion Oath starting April 4th on Thursday at noon. And so we're glad you could be here. Last time we talked to Gabe, where he premiered his character Zell. Before that, we talked to Katina, where she had Micah. And today, well, we got two left. We're halfway through, right? We have two more left. And today was going to be Sarah Marie, but sadly she's under the weather. So get better, Sarah Marie. I hope you feel better soon. But to take up the reins, stepping in boldly through smoke and a wicked guitar solo, it's Owen K.C. Stevens.
Hi, folks.
How are you, pal?
Where's the wicked guitar solo?
I was earlier.
Promised a wicked guitar solo.
You know, here's the thing. I scheduled it. It was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
But they had the wrong Paizo studio.
The wrong Paizo studio. There's the other Paizo studio.
So many.
We don't even use that studio for
this
anything.
One is Studio 8A.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that.
And they're an 8B?
And well, it's 9A, technically. 9A? Because it's up on the 9th floor.
Right.
We, of course, on the 8th floor. Studio 8A on the 8th floor. 9A is right up above us. So that's where they are right now. Wicked guitar solo going on.
That's so sad.
You have no idea how awesome it is. So anyway, yeah. So anyway, we're here to talk about your character.
We are. Wait.
We're also here.
Say that again.
We're here to talk about your character.
You have no idea how long, as an RPG professional, I have waited for someone to look me in the eye and say, tell me about your character. That never happens, ever.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to get to that, though. But first, before we get to the character, I wanted to talk to Owen the man. Let's talk to you as a person. Find out who you are.
As a person.
As a person.
All right.
And then we're going to get into your character.
Okay.
I've got a
Just
really,
promise me we'll get to that.
Well, I promise you we'll get to that.
Been waiting for a long time.
So, and I will start with the iconic words, too.
Good.
I'm going to start with them. Don't you worry.
I'm excited.
Okay, so first of all, Owen, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So you're going to be a part of the Oblivion Oath team.
That's
going to be playing every Thursday at noon right here at twitch.tv/.
I hope so, because they did art.
Well, yeah, exactly. And so, first of all, let's start with, how long have you been with Paizo?
It will be 5 years next month.
5 years?
5 years next month.
Nice. That's coming right up.
Yeah.
Big party planned?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, we've got deadlines, man. This is not a good time to try and throw a Paizo party.
You don't want to have the party right in con season and deadline season, and all of that sort of thing.
And it's always deadline season.
It's true. It is true.
When people leave, we frequently throw a party, and that's to make up for all the parties we couldn't have while they were here. So it's like, oh, this is our last opportunity. Till then, no.
Mm-hmm. It got me in the middle of drinking coffee. What do you, right now, you're on the Starfinder team.
Yeah, I'm the Starfinder design lead.
Okay, and then what does that normally entail for you?
So it's, a lot of the job is being a developer, right? We get freelancers to, we decide on what a book's going to be, we outline the book, we send the writing out to freelancers, they send it back, and then as a developer, you go through it and you make sure that it's uniform in tone, uniform in voice, that it does what we want it to do, that it's all consistent. And some of that is stuff that is just a matter of experience, right? If 5 people have written a 3-sentence introduction and one person wrote a 15-sentence introduction, those don't look and feel the same. So you want to get, but also as the design lead, I am frequently looking at what kind of questions do we need to put out facts on, what kind of things do we need to do errata on. Yes, I know. What is the design space? What do we want to do and not want to do in our design space? There's a lot of things that, like if there are 5 ways to handle something, rules-wise, there might be 1 that we've done before, and then 4 that we haven't. And if we pick one of those, we are opening up that design space to say, hey, Starfinder does things this way. And as soon as we do that, freelancers are going to start turning stuff over that does that. The game will move in that direction. So keeping an eye on that is a part of my job.
Okay, I gotcha. So there's a lot of various components to it, kind of making sure it visually looks well. There's a play aspect to it and all of that sort of thing, which is why you're such a good guest for Starfinder Wednesday. Check out Starfinder Wednesday sometime. Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific right here at twitch.tv/officialpaizo. And I think that because of all of that, you've had a very diverse background in gaming.
Yes.
It's only going to be like a half-hour, 45-minute show. So, however briefly we can, but thoroughly, let's talk about some of your history in the industry.
Well, I started freelancing in the 1990s, writing for magazines. A lot of stuff for Dragon Magazine, some stuff for Pyramid Magazine, which was the Pyramid Online version at the time. Mm-hmm. And then I also had a specific article that killed magazines. I sent it to D8, which killed it. I sent it to Troll, which killed it. So they'd accept it. They would schedule what issue it's going to be in, and then go out of business just before that issue. So it was the article of death. It did eventually get published by a magazine
That's the stuff of legend.
I know,
That's
right?
Great.
That was like 25 years ago. So I did a lot of things for Dragon Magazine. Wizards of the Coast, when they were ramping up for 3rd edition, they tapped me to write an early 3rd edition article. I play tested 3rd edition. As a result, when they were hiring back in 99, early 2000, I applied for that job and got it. So I went from freelancing magazines to the show, right? The big leagues.
Right.
So I worked at Wizards of the Coast, worked there for 14 months, bought a house, sold a house, had to move back because there were layoffs.
Oh, right.
I then freelanced from then till 2014. And during that time, I worked on the Black Company, 3rd edition D&D, 3.5 D&D, 4th edition D&D. When I was at Wizards of the Coast, I was working on Star Wars. I freelanced, worked for Star Wars for many years. With Rodney Thompson, I was one of the co-authors of the Star Wars Saga edition. I worked on Wheel of Time, Black Company, Gamma World. But I was also still doing magazine articles, and Paizo was running the magazines eventually, and so I did a lot of work for Paizo. And then when Paizo started rolling out doing Galarian stuff before the Pathfinder role-playing game, I wrote the Guide to Galarian, which was a 3.5 book. It was before there even was a Pathfinder RPG. Play-tested Pathfinder, started writing for Pathfinder, and was doing that quite a bit. And then I think I applied for a job here 3 times, and then in 2014, and they kept saying, "Oh, we love your work. It's great. We're just going a different direction."
Right.
Oh, so you're going a not some kid from Oklahoma direction. Okay, got it. Then in 2014, I finally got hired. I was originally hired for the module line.
Okay.
And I oversaw one module, and then they needed help with the player companion line, so I took over the player companion line for a while, and then they decided to do Starfinder, and given that I'd done... I have literally been working on the D20 game system since before it was published. It's 20 years now of that.
Wow.
And I've done Star Wars and I've done D&D. So when they wanted Starfinder, it made sense to tap me as one of the people that was going to take a look at putting that together. And it's been all Starfinder all the time pretty much since.
Nice. And how do you like it?
Starfinder?
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
I love Starfinder.
I mean...
We have a weekly game we play with Eric.
With Eric?
Eric Mona's our GM.
And how's that go?
I love it. It is such a fun game. It is really cool.
One of the things I really like about Starfinder is that there's a modern sensibility that makes sense in it. I think a lot of people, when they're trying to play a fantasy feeling game, whatever it is, frequently they're like, well, does this have trademark? Is there a stamp on the bottom? And there's stuff that might well actually be historically accurate. Like gladiators in ancient Rome had ads as sports stars.
Oh, right.
Companies would pay them, businesses would pay them to advocate for their stuff. But if you do that in a Pathfinder game, people are like, that's too modern, that feels weird. Whereas in Starfinder, right? Oh, I'm a Twitch streamer. That's my job. As I one of the mean girls. That's my role, right?
Yeah.
All this modern stuff can be brought forward, but we still get to throw fireballs and things. So.
And that's true. I think that there's some really fun things that you can do with the technology and all that kind of thing. I think it's great. All right, so what as far as RPG playing and your style of play generally, what do you usually bring to a table if you're in someone's game?
I'm usually the annoying one. It's sometimes I'm the GM, right? I GM fairly often, unlike most of the other players. And I'm not saying they never GM, but there have been long stretches of years where I'm GMing much more than I'm playing. I am frequently the rules guru guy. I say rules guru because that is a kinder word than rules lawyer.
Yeah.
I am frequently very familiar with...
No offense to any lawyers out there.
The rules lawyer is different from lawyer, right? It's got
true.
It's got a negative connotation.
You're absolutely right.
But I mean, I've played a lot of different games, and part of that is because I've freelanced for 14 years. So, when I was freelancing for Green Ronin, which I've been done up to very recently, I want to be familiar with those games. And the way I get familiar with the game system best is to play in it and be a GM for it. That's actually interacting with it.
Right.
I don't like writing for games that I'm not playing because I feel like I'm theory crafting at that point. I'm not actually taking experience at the table. Also, a lot of my best ideas come from the table, right? We'll be playing and someone says, hey, can I do this? And I'm like, no, not yet.
See, now that's the kind of thing where it's play tested out of experience.
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
It's like, that just came up. This is something we need to make sure we kind of double check next time. Yeah, that's cool. How many good ideas do you think you've come across just from that type of scenario?
Out of the like 5 million paid words in print that I've done over my career,
percentage-wise, let's say percentage.
25%.
That's significant.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
Seriously,
that's cool.
When I was working for Super Genius Games freelance, and then I started Rogue Genius, my own company. For a while, we were doing a product every week, and the only way we could do a product every week was that I was playing 2 or 3 games a week, and so I had 9 to 10 ideas for something we could do every week. And so someone would be like, hey, can I have my character's name have some game mechanical effect? And I'm like, you'll be able to by next week.
Right.
That's a cool idea. If your name means something, we can do a whole product on that.
Yeah, that is really cool. That is really cool. Then before we get into your character, which we're going to be doing very soon,
I promise.
What are you looking forward to the most with Oblivion Oath?
So there are 2 things I'm really looking forward to.
Okay.
One, I don't like writing for a game system without playing it. I would like to do some writing for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Right at the moment, I have in my head 5th edition D&D, Starfinder Beginner Box, 1st edition Pathfinder, the Age system. I need to have something that encourages me to actually get in there and learn the system so that I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah.
So having this be an opportunity where even before the game's out, I'm going to be able to start play this game, get to know this game. That's one thing I'm looking forward to. Another is I don't get to play with these people very often.
Yeah.
These are some brilliant, fascinating, funny people. And the only one I think I've played online games with Jason as the GM before, so I know I do that.
Okay.
The only other gaming I recall doing with any of these people is that Sarah and Marie and I were in the same party game of Werewolf at one point, and I got the mob to lynch her. So that's the extent of my experience, and she took it very well. I think we'll find out. If her character kills my character, you'll all know that I had it coming.
I can't. So Sarah Marie's in the chat right now, and she's laughing. But behind that laughter, there's not an answer. It doesn't say.
Sarah Marie's smart enough to keep her options open, right? That's
true. I like that. All right. Anything else we want to cover before we get to the character?
Yeah, let's get to the character. I'm very
Owen,
excited about this part.
I have a favor to ask.
Yeah?
Can you tell me about your character?
Yes, I can.
Great.
More than 20 years I've been waiting for someone to ask me that question, and I managed to get it recorded. That's awesome. This is it, folks. It only takes 2 decades of backbreaking work, deadlines, going out of your mind, creativity, and then someday someone in an official setting will ask you to tell them about your character. Yeah, I don't want to.
Dang it.
No, I'm sorry.
Right,
I'm
well,
joking.
Thanks for joining us,
we went to all the trouble.
I know.
Okay.
A wrong floor, but there's a guitar solo going on right now for you. But
well, yeah, but now it's sad, right?
It is sad. Yeah, it all switched to minors.
It did.
You know. All right. Let's.
What do you want to know?
Well, let's first of all. Let's do. I want you to give the name.
Okay.
And the class and ancestry.
Okay.
As I reveal the amazing art from Pixel Slayer, who's in the chat right now.
The art that no one has been able to guess my ancestry. No, absolutely not. It's
get ready to be surprised,
Here
everybody.
It comes. It's a gnome with a hat.
Go.
No. So it's Qundle, White Mane.
Okay.
And that is a sorcerer, goblin ancestry, and it is of the angelic bloodline. So it is an angelic bloodline goblin.
Okay.
That is where I'm going with this.
So we're gonna visit that again in a second.
We are totally gonna visit that again in a second.
So right now, I just want to I'm letting everything sink in so people can see the stats,
Qundle.
so they can see the name and look at the amazing art again. Pixel Slayer did an amazing job as always. And
one of the things I love about being involved in the official game industry is I can have amazing professional artists draw my character and someone else pays them to do it. It's
pretty cool.
That and the free game books are the main reason to be in this industry.
That is true. That is true. Okay, so we see that the angelic bloodline in there as a sorcerer.
Yes.
Can we go into what that means?
Yeah, we totally can.
Okay.
So from my point of view, there's going to be a lot of stuff that I know about my character, that Jason knows about my character, that the other characters won't know, but that doesn't mean that the players won't know.
Right.
Especially in a format like this, I think knowing something about this character, an introduction, is the sort of thing that if you were reading a book, you would have seen something about this character's background before they were introduced, and then as threads are dropped and things are revealed, you as the reader get to go, oh, I can make a connection here, I understand. So there's stuff that certainly is not common knowledge that Qundle won't be talking about on a regular basis that I'm perfectly happy to discuss as part of the context, the background. So I don't know how much the viewers know about goblins in Golarion, but in Golarion, goblins worship these 4 Barghest hero gods, which are 4 Barghest who were enslaved by Asmodeus and released by one of the other gods, and they killed humanoids, and the blood that fell from that act created the first goblins.
Oh, okay.
So these are outsiders, right? Barghests are goblin-like outsiders. So they're not devils, they're not demons, but they are a form of outsider being, a celestial, if you will. Although celestial has a different game term. And they are the main gods that are worshipped by goblins. And Qundle thinks of all of them as the Red Wolves. Those 4, all of them, those hero gods are the Red Wolves. They're the wolves of fire and blood and fury that all the other goblins follow. He's Qundle Whitemane. Last name's not being super common amongst goblins because from a very young age, he was having dreams of a gray wolf, a kind wolf, a wolf that said that there's a place called the Grey Den that is warm and safe, and someday you, Qundle, will find the Grey Den, and you will be able to go forward. And so Qundle is quite convinced that this gray wolf from his dreams is a celestial entity, and that he is somehow touched or blessed by the gray wolf, and that he is supposed to find the destiny for goblin kind that the gray wolf wants for us, rather than the destiny of the red wolves. Right. He thinks that in every goblin there are 4 red wolves and 1 gray wolf at war, and normally the red wolf is the stronger, and that those evil gods use things like fear and repetition and rote and dislike of asking questions to control all of goblin culture. Qundle asked questions from an early age. He was dumped in a rearing cage by the small goblin tribe that he was born in, which was in the shadows of Karamaga, and no one in the tribe would even admit to being his parents. Just here's this one. He's gray rather than green. He's a runt. He's hairless. He is small and ugly by goblin standards. He's got blue eyes. He's a weirdling. They all knew he was weird. He was one of 2 weirdlings in that set. The other being Targata brands his face. Targata?
Targata.
Targata brands his face.
Targata brands his face.
Targata brands his
Hyphenated?
face. Hyphenated.
Okay.
He's the other weirdling who, when he got out of the rearing cage, heated up a knife and branded his face.
Oh.
So while most of the goblins are going around learning to chop things and kill things and set things on fire and do songs, Qundle and Targata were a little different. And so they had an alchemist in that tribe who was also weird, but that alchemist can put fire in liquid, and that's a powerful thing if you're a goblin. So the tribe put up with him. Tribal chieftain didn't really like him. It was too powerful, too dangerous, but someone should have that talent. So Targata and Qundle were both sent to him to learn, and Qundle realized that the secret of alchemy is writing. Mm-hmm. Goblins don't like writing. Goblins think that if you write something down, it steals the words from your mind.
Right.
Qundle's convinced that's a red wolf thing. Right? Writing lets you learn from people who aren't in the room. Writing is magic. Yeah. Writing is taking a concept and giving it physical form. That's a powerful form of magic. So, they're near Karamaga. There are caravans going back and forth. They're goblins. They raid. They scavenge. And while he would go and get, broken sticks and broken bits of blade weaponry and scraps of food with the rest of the goblins, that's how they survive, unlike them, he would steal books. Oh, and he would learn to read because the alchemist was teaching him to read. That
is great. I love that. That is some fun stuff. Do we think that we will be seeing brands his face?
Targata. Targata brands his face. Well, so what we have right now is this. In my backstory, you've got Qundle learning to be an important member of the goblin tribe, which would lead you to think that he wouldn't be off adventuring with a bunch of other non-goblins. Unfortunately, everyone in the tribe was killed. All slain. By a flaming red wolf, except Targata. Targata was not killed.
All right.
Targata got something. Qundle doesn't know what. I don't know what. Those are things I'm leaving for Jason.
Nice.
Jason knows this backstory. So Qundle fled. He fled the burning wreck of his village And all he knows is, most people don't like me. I'm small. The Grey Wolf says the Grey Den is out there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And goblin kind have been kept down by supernatural forces for all of existence. And it's my job to change that.
That's amazing. That is amazing. That sounds like so much fun. As a GM,
Yeah.
there's some juicy backstory there.
Yeah, no, there's some
that
stuff
you can
there.
throw some little crumbs out, you
Or
know.
not, right? It's not overarching. If none of that ever comes up, that just means I got away. Which and Qundle would be thrilled to never see Targata Brands' face again.
Right.
I fled. If I escaped, that's fine. I like giving a GM, here are some hooks, here are some ideas, here are some things you can tie into if you want to. And a lot of this came from Jason sent out questionnaires. Just like, tell me a secret about your character. Tell me something about your character that's traditional. Tell me something that's non-traditional, right? So Qundle does not sing. He does not do rhymes. He does love writing. On the other hand, like most goblins, he's a big fan of pickles.
Right.
But he's objectively a fan of pickles. Pickles are juicy and don't rot. That is better than jerky. That is better than hardtack. That is better than other foods. It's an objectively superior food. Pickle everything. Pickle meat, pickle eggs, pickle cucumbers, pickle lettuce, whatever it is. If you pickle it, it lasts longer and stays juicy. That's just clearly, again, like writing is magic. Pickles are magic, obviously.
I feel, and I'm just saying this right now, I feel like pickles are magic is going to end up being a command that's going to end up in chat at some point. Pickles are magic.
Pickles are magic.
Because that is one of those things that's going to keep coming back. I can tell right now. So let me ask you this. Being a goblin, what's some of the pressure that you're going to have, aside from some of the obvious things, but I still want to address those obvious things. But what is the pressure and the concerns?
So, I mean, goblins are not overall a well-regarded race in Galarian.
Right.
So I know that. Qundle knows that, right? If you look at Qundle's art, he's got this big cloak with his giant football head. That's only going to do him so much good. But if it's voluminous enough, you hunch it over. He's small. He is perfectly happy to try and stick to the shadows and let people think he's just a halfling with hygiene problems.
Right.
But he is aware that there is a fair amount of prejudice directed against him. That said, even though... And you don't have to read much about goblins of Galarian to run into the concept that they are generally considered vermin. Sure, but you don't always bother to kill vermin, right? There are a lot of people that have rats in the basement. As long as they stay in the basement, you don't worry about it. So one goblin is not, in general, going to immediately cause a violent threat. 20 goblins, sure. If 20 goblins, sure. But that's a lot like a wandering fighter, right? If you've got one guy in banded armor with a greatsword show up, you think, oh, that's an adventure. If 20 guys in matching armor and swords show up, the town goes, no, that's a mercenary company. That's an invasion force. So I and Qundle are both aware that there is a expectation to stick in, and if I try to push against society too hard, they may clap me in jail or set me on fire or just behead me, right? That's part of how I've set up this character, to have an awareness that I will not be treated the same way as a human by the masses. One hopes that, I mean, we've already seen we've got a lizard folk, which is the goblin term for them.
Right. Erixi.
Yeah, but lizard folk.
Lizard folk.
As a goblin.
Yeah. Oh, that's fair. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No, lizard folk. We don't say Erixi. That's
right.
Why he's lizard and he's folk, so lizard folk. That seems obvious. Adventurers frequently aren't standard members of the population, right? Despite the number of PCs out there, most people don't think to themselves, my best career choice is to constantly put my life on the line and hope that when I kill something, either I get rewarded or there's something valuable laying under it, right? Most of them are still brewers and farmers, lots of farmers and herders. So anytime you're saying, hey, my character is the person who's going to take hero levels, who's going to do all these things, you're already saying I'm an exception to the norms of society.
Yeah.
Goblins are in the core rulebook for second edition. So we have done a lot of stories with goblins, including stories where the goblins were the heroes. They were the protagonists at the very least. So it may well be that a goblin has to be more outside of the goblin norm than a human has to be outside of the human norm, but you're still playing someone who's exceptional, someone who's unusual. One of the reasons I picked sorcerer is that being a sorcerer, my power is in my blood. So it doesn't require me to think of any special training, right? I mean, I could have played an alchemist with the same story. I was trained by an alchemist, I became an alchemist. That seemed a little on the nose. We've got an iconic alchemist, and I wanted to explore something else.
Yeah.
But also the idea of a goblin with an angelic bloodline struck me as interesting, struck me as something I haven't seen that story before. And I've been role-playing for 36 years. I like to occasionally come up with a story that I haven't done before, that I haven't seen before. And so those are sort of trying to set up conflicting forces that will drive this character's decisions and give other players and the GM handles to work on, right? You can see Qundle as a goblin, you go, you're a goblin, I'm going to treat you like a goblin. But you can also, as soon as you see white light radiating out of Qundle, and he's healing people, and he's calling down divine power, that gives you a totally different handle that you can interact him with, and the players can decide how they want to interact with that character.
Interesting. Okay, so when it comes to the ideas of how we know goblins to be personality-wise, from the current edition of Pathfinder, moving into Pathfinder 2nd Edition and being a goblin. The expectation is that goblins are going to be annoying, and that they're going to be disruptive and destructive and all of those sorts of things. How are you going to embrace that or leave that behind, or what's the plan there?
There's a rough plan. I try not to do more than sort of a framework for a character, because some stuff's going to happen in-game, right? And I don't want to decide, you know, I will always approach things in this one way, and then in game I get moved to do something else. For me, part of role playing is to embrace the role. But I have set Qundle up to be small, ugly, even by goblin standards, and not want to hurt people needlessly. So he wants to stay away from conflict unless that conflict serves an important purpose. On the other hand, he's also been bullied most of his life, so he does not like bullying. That gives me a built-in desire to go. He's from a tribal setup, and his tribe is dead, so even though he doesn't know it, he is looking for a group of people to watch his back, to protect, to trust, to work with together, i.e. an adventuring party. I got rid of the singing and I got rid of the rhyming, and part of that was so that he was different, but also part of it was so that I did not annoy the actual other players by constantly trying to come up with songs and rhymes. There are people that do that great, and I think a lot of people are going to have fun doing that with the goblins, but I also wanted to show that yes, there is a stereotypical goblin, but that is in fact a stereotype, right? There's a stereotypical grumpy dwarf. People play dwarves that aren't that, and that is accepted. So I wanted to have a backstory that really drove a different kind of goblin narratively, in part to show that there are different goblin stories we can tell than just the stereotypical singing, dog riding, horse killing, fire setting goblin. Although Qundle's totally about setting a fire when that's what's called for. Right? If something's got to burn, it's got to burn.
That's fair.
Fire is an effective tool.
Yeah. When I saw that you were playing a goblin, that was my first hope. Because online, the feedback I get is goblins are so disruptive. Goblins are going to be terrible to have in a party. Blah blah blah. And the second I saw that, I was like, Owen is going to help change that perception.
I hope so.
So that people can play a goblin or have a goblin in their party, and it doesn't have to be annoying. It can actually be a fun character to have.
I mean, a lot of RPGs have the role that is considered annoying, right? A lot of people thought of Kender as annoying, Ewoks, Jawa, droids. Even halflings and gnomes have a history of being annoying. For me, when I'm coming to a table as a player, I want to do two things. I want to play and have a good time, and I want everyone else to have a good time. So my good time is not more important than theirs, right? I don't want to engage in a behavior that is disruptive or annoying or harmful, for that matter, right? You've got to be considerate of the people at the table. This is still a social activity. Yeah. Even if I mean, like I said, I haven't gotten to game with these people, so this is not a case of getting together with a group that I've known for 20 years. There are people I game with, I've been gaming for 20 years. With those people, right, we're friends in all sorts of environments, so we know each other really, really well. This is more like a organized play kind of event where I don't know these people super well. We're going to be playing for 1 hour a week. We're not going to be hanging out all the time. We've got work. We have our jobs, right? So we're going to be coming in here, doing a thing, getting out. I want to build my character to work well in that environment.
Right.
In my opinion, everyone should come to a game table with the intent of everyone having a good time. That's half the point for me. If I'm not here to help everyone have a good time, why am I here?
I agree. I 100% agree, especially because we're streaming this. You know, there's that extra layer.
Totally.
And we've spent a lot of time talking about this as a group.
Yeah,
which is,
absolutely.
You know, for me, the first thing is, well, let's make sure that it's fun and everything. But then at the same time, it's still a game that we want the players to be engaged in.
It is.
And we want it to be a game that Jason can be engaged in and, you know, encourage him to do his best and all that kind of thing. At the same time, everybody's dealing with deadlines. And
I mean,
so it's a lot.
We're professionals. We'd come and play this game without enjoying it if that's what we needed to do.
But we don't want to do that.
But it's a better game experience for ourselves. That's not. We want to show that this game is fun, and if we're not having fun, we're not doing a good job at that. So yeah, it's
very true.
And we're all volunteers, right? No one was assigned to do this. We had to try out, right? I was not picked last for this. Unlike, say, dodgeball.
No, that's true. Let's see.
In fact, no one was picked last. They picked us all at the same time.
So let's do this. So is there anything else about your character that you feel like everybody needs to know before that very first episode?
So I don't want to get into the rules a whole lot, but you already know that we've got a wizard and you know we've got a rogue, and people don't know what Sarah Marie's doing yet, but a lot of people are going to hear sorcerer and they're going to think, oh, you're the arcane spellcaster. And that is not the case.
Really?
In second edition Pathfinder. The spell list you access, whether it is primal or occult or arcane or divine, is determined by your bloodline. And so with an angelic bloodline, I'm a divine spellcaster. I'm not a cleric, but I'm the divine spellcaster. That's the role I'm filling. So this is a character you can see from my stats, right? This is a high charisma character. He's supposed to be likable. In this case, that has to overcome the fact that he is a goblin. And I suspect that given his upbringing, if he gets angry enough, he's going to go goblin on someone, right? That's it's not exactly hulking out because he's not going to get any bigger. I'll just quiver in tiny little rage. But he might get pretty vicious if he felt he needed to.
Yeah.
So the role I'm filling is that divine spellcasting role. The arcane spellcasting we're going to leave to Katina. Goblins are frequently sneaks, and while I'm small and I'm reasonably nimble, I'm not the sneak. Our giant lizard man is the sneak, right?
Yeah.
So I'm filling a very different role, and I am very interested to see how a sorcerer does filling that role. I'm intrigued. And I'm probably going to multi-class with this character. I'm not going to do it at first level, but early on, I'm thinking that I am interested in this character based on his background, based on being someone who asks questions, who does interesting things, it might be a more effective build to stick with one line and take everything I can of that. But I think I will have more fun branching out, exploring the rules and exploring options, and representing Qundle, who's constantly wondering, how does this work? Why do you do that? How can we make things better?
So yeah, and I think, again, I know a little bit more about the entire party than everybody does right now.
Yeah,
but by next week, that's not going to be the case.
Absolutely.
By next week, we're going to be done. All the characters are out there. You know what you're supposed to know by that point. And as each one gets revealed and I talk more about each one, I think this is going to be a good chemistry. Like, the chemistry is going to be great with this party.
I'm super
it's going to
excited.
be so much fun.
I'm super excited, both by the players, but also by the characters we came up with. And we did that in a session 0. You alluded to that a little bit. And this is a way in which this is different from something like organized play. In organized play, you've got to make a character that will operate in nearly any circumstance. So you're going to play with one group of people, and then when the same group is going to play over and over and over, I like to do what I call a session 0, where the players get together and they say, hey, what are we all thinking of doing? How do we want to interact? If we had wanted to be one fighter, one champion, one barbarian, and one ranger, and just assume that we don't need any spellcasters to go and kill everything fast, Jason would have run with that. But we wanted to sort of cover the traditional big 4 roles in some regard. Like, we don't have a cleric, instead we have a divine sorcerer. So we're looking at that. But I think that we riffed on each other a little bit to think, well, this will be interesting and that'll be fun, and these characters can, and literally in the case of Gabe and Katina, right? These characters know each other.
Right.
They're best friends.
Best friends. Isn't that awesome?
Friends.
Just ask Gabe. He'll tell you. Their characters are best friends.
But we actually have a chat board where as players in the GM, we get together and we hash things out sometimes. We've been asking things like, hey, I'm thinking of picking these languages. Does anyone have an issue with that? And it's not that we didn't know, I forbid it, but it allows us to have some idea who we'll be able to talk to, when we'll be able to talk to them. I like that sort of considering as a group, what will we as a group enjoy? And I think you get better characters and a better experience out of it when what you're going to be doing is playing with the same people over and over and over and over.
I 100% agree. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be so good. Let's see. Do we want to let me do a sign off for the video? And then do we want to sit and chat for a little bit?
I'm happy to chat with people.
Okay, cool. Let me do a sign off, and then we'll
do a sign off.
We'll do everything else. So, all right,
we're sorry
everybody.
about the guitar solo.
No, next time, I promise. Next time. Thank you so much for joining us. Let me show off this art one last time. It is such a good piece. Pixel Slayer is in the chat, and so I believe Pixel Slayer, the artist for this, is just at Pixel Slayer on Twitter. Feel free to give them a follow.
And thank you. I love this art of
so
my
good.
character. I
is
want to
such a great-
personally say that that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So let's do that. Okay, I hope you learned a lot. I hope you're getting more and more excited about joining us for Oblivion Oath on Thursdays at noon Pacific right here on twitch.tv/officialpaizo. The videos will be uploaded to YouTube, which is probably where you're watching this right now if you're watching it on YouTube, or Facebook. Those will be uploaded the Tuesday before a new episode. So that way, if you're watching as on demand, you'll be able to catch up and then you can decide, well, I'm going to join them live this week. You should be able to do that and know exactly what's happening. And in the meantime, for Paizo and for Owen over here, and for me, I'm your old buddy Dan. Thank you so much for joining us, and we can't wait to see you next Thursday at noon for the character reveal of Sarah Marie. And until next time, bye!
Bye, folks.